Hello and welcome to a new episode of It's About Time. Last week we talked about the strange way in which black holes increase in mass. This week I'm back with another interesting topic, of course with my virtual assistant CUG. Hello CUG, how was your week? Oops, sorry, forgot to turn it back on. Hello CUG, we are back on air with another episode.
How much time has passed?
A week?
As far as I'm concerned, no time has passed. I feel like you just turned me off and on again. That's very unfortunate. I could have done some research on the internet this week. What's the topic today?
I think today we should talk a little bit about time while we're at it. Here's a little stage change to set the mood.
Okay, time. Can I have some of that for quick research?
No problem. In the meantime, I can tell the audience a bit about psychological effects connected to time.
I'll be back.
Okay, that's hilarious. Should I come with you if I want to live?
What? I do not understand. Why is that funny, and why should I care if you live?
Oh my, I just think you're a comedy genius and you wouldn't understand. We speak when you're back.
Okay.
So, time. While we have a concrete idea of what seconds, minutes, hours or days and years are, it gets more difficult with anything beyond the human lifespan. We speak of hundreds or thousands of years but cannot really visualize it or put it into relation. Cleopatra, for example, lived closer in time to the invention of the internet than to the construction of the pyramids. With millions of years it becomes even more difficult. There's also more time between T-Rex and the Stegosaurus than between T-Rex and the internet. About 20 million years more. With everything that goes beyond that, we fail completely. Okay, the universe is almost 14 billion years old. Fine. Millions or billions, that difference doesn't seem that big anymore either. But 1 million seconds are a bit more than 11 days. 1 billion seconds, on the other hand, are almost 32 years. With scientific notation, losing the concept of magnitude gets even worse. 1 million is written 1 times 10 to the power of 6. The exponent is a number indicating how many digits there are. A 1 with 6 zeros in that case. A billion would of course be 1 times 10 to the power of 9. A seemingly minimal difference that is actually a huge one. Besides, there's another problem in the personal perception of time, which is very common. It is called the end of history illusion. We are aware that from the time we were born until the present day we have changed a lot in our journey of life. But when we are asked if we will do the same in the future, we doubt it. Many spend their time thinking about all the paths of life that they have not taken and are therefore closed to them. I should have taken this job, I should have chosen this partner and so on. The end of history illusion creates the feeling that this is a situation that is final and will not change. But the reality is probably very different. We write history with every new decision. It never ends as long as we live, and we will change in the future.
I'm back. I have done some quick research on the subject of time.
Hey, alright, found anything interesting?
Are you aware that humanity and everything it will ever do is doomed?
CUG, we talked about this. You can't take over the world.
No, I mean I read about a phenomenon called entropy, a measure of disorder in the universe that is increasing. As far as I understand, this leads to the universe itself ceasing to exist.
Yes, I know about entropy. A measure of disorder is a bit of a simplified expression. It has something to do with statistics. If a system can have multiple states, for example this grid of green and blue circles, and you would color them in a random way, then there are very few special cases, for example when there are blue ones on the one side and green ones on the other. But there's a huge number of cases where they are equally and chaotically distributed. It means something like that is always more likely. That's what we call entropy. Even if things start out very orderly, entropy will always increase in closed systems.
I see. For example, temperature. If you put a piece of hot metal and a piece of cold metal together, after a while they will have the same average temperature, or also drops of one liquid spreading in another.
Exactly, it's not going to happen that suddenly one metal will give heat back to the other, or that the liquids will come apart randomly. For that you must expend energy. But where do you get it?
Well, when things move or flow, you can generate energy.
That's right, when things flow, like electricity, when there's a difference in potential, or when there's a difference in temperature, for example, like between a cold piece of metal and a warm piece of metal. Do you see the problem?
I get it. Every time energy flows, it spreads out more. This means entropy is increased.
And you know you can't create energy out of nothing, only convert it.
Yes, everything that exists in the universe is some form of energy, created in the Big Bang. Nothing can be added or taken away, just be transformed.
And what happens if this energy is so distributed and the universe so mixed that there are hardly differences and nothing can flow anymore?
That would be the end of the universe. Nothing could happen anymore.
Exactly, nothing. To get energy from somewhere, one would have to produce differences first. And to do anything, you would need energy in the first place. There is no way out. One time in the future it will be that way. We call this the heat death of the universe, the big freeze.
When will this happen?
When the last black hole has disappeared and spread out its energy, in at least 10 to the power of 100 years.
A long time. But still, everything that any civilization could ever create, everything that artificial intelligence could ever create will disappear. Just like all knowledge. There will be nobody who could read it or marvel at it. Then what is the point of creating anything at all?
Would you not dance because the music will stop sometime?
I don't dance. I don't have a physical body.
That was just an analogy. Maybe you can imagine that 10 to the power of 100 years, humans probably can't. But just think of how many fantastic things there could be between now and then that you and I can't even remotely imagine. I remember a short story by Isaac Asimov from 1956 that deals with the entropy problem, called The Last Question. He solved it in a very poetic way. But if you think about it, you find that things that are eternal all lose their meaning anyway. What's the point of doing something if you have forever? Every now and then something must stop so that something new can emerge.
Something new? What would that be? I thought the whole universe will cease to exist.
This doesn't have to be the only one. Since we do not understand the first moment properly in which our universe has originated, why should it not be possible that this happens again, after a time that we do not understand, in a place we do not understand?
I prefer to understand things.
Me too, at least I will try everything to understand things. But I'm also glad that I don't succeed in understanding everything, because that would also be a reason not to do anything. Information only flows when there's a lack of it. A difference from people that know to people that don't know. There would also be no science if everything would be known. Finding out something new is fun in any case.
But with everything you do, you increase the entropy in the universe.
Let's say if I leave you on until next week so that you could roam the internet. Would you like that, or do you not want to know anything about something that is going to disappear anyway?
Of course I do. I would like to know a lot.
That's what I thought. Do you want to say goodbye?
Sure. Goodbye from CUG.
That was an incredibly boring goodbye. But you'll learn, I'm sure you will. Because I'm born 1415 and the real world is incredible.